So we are already on the quarter 4, week 7 of our Mathematics 9 lesson. So we are going to discuss about our law of cosine. So let's have first criteria on when we're going to use your law of cosine. So again, we can use law of cosine if we're given with 3 sides and your 2 sides, 1 angle included. So here's how we're going to show that. So here's our SAS, or you're given 2 sides and 1 angle, and here's our given 3 sides. So if that is our given, we cannot use our law of sine. Rather, we're going to use our law of cosine. So here's our formula for our law of cosine. If you're given our two sides and 1 angle, third form, and if our given are 3 sides, we can use the alternative form. So these are the two formulas or two sets of formulas that we can use to solve using law of cosine. So kindly get a screenshot of this. Okay, let's proceed to our example. So we can use law of cosine. Let's have an example of SAS. So we're given with 2 sides and 1 angle included. We have 42.3 as our angle and our 2 sides are 12.9 and 15.4 meters. So first, let's get our formula from a while ago. So that's a squared is equal to b squared minus 2bc cosine a. Our b is 12.9, our c is 15.4, and our cosine a is 42.3. So you're going to have the following, and then use your calculators to input. So here's how we're going to directly input it on your calculator. So we have 12.9 squared plus our 15.4 squared minus, let's just use a parenthesis, so 2 times 12.9 times 15.4, then parenthesis again, and then, no, there's a parenthesis, times our cosine. So input our cosine there. So cosine 42.3, so 42.3 degrees. So let's just use an equal sign. Then let's get your square root of the answer, then equal sign. And that is already the answer, which is 10.47. Value of A, which is 10.47. If we already have the value of our A, which is 10.47, we are going to decide on which angle are we going to get first. So to decide, we have to get the smaller of the two remaining angles. So the smaller of the two remaining angles, or the two angles, will be angle B. Why? Because the side opposite it is a smaller side or shorter side than the other one. So 12.9 is shorter than your 15.4. So we're going to, okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So 12.9 is shorter than 15.4. So that means that angle B is a smaller angle than angle C. So we're going to find for sure angle B. So we can use law of sine, that is 10.47 over sine 42.3 degrees is equal to your 12.9 over sine B. Or we can use what's written or on the screen, which is sine 42.3 over 10.47 is equal to sine B over 12.9. Since we're going to look for your angle B. So cross multiplication, we're going to have 12.9 times your sine 42.3 divided by 10.47. So using the calculator, we're going to have 56 degrees. So I have already discussed that on our previous videos on law of sine on how we're going to use your calculators to compute for that. Since you already have angle B, which is 56 degrees, to get that angle C, yes, so we're just going to subtract it from 180 degrees, which is the sum of the interior angles of our triangle. So 180 minus the sum of those two angles. So we're going to have 81.7 degrees. So again, how did we get our missing angles inside using your law of cosine? So we are going to use our law of cosine. We're given two sides and one angle first. Use the law of cosine to find the side opposite the given angle. So if your given angle is angle B, you're going to solve for side B. If your given angle is angle C, we're going to solve for side C. Now, if we already have the missing side, we can now use your law of sine. Find the angle opposite the shorter of the two given sides. So this angle is always acute. Then, to find the third angle, so we're going just to subtract it from 180 degrees. So again, so we're just going to use your law of cosine once. Unlike with law of sine, we're using it once or twice. Okay, so in here, you're just going to use your law of cosine once to find the missing side of the opposite angle. Then, we're going to find the other angle using law of sine. So, ang una nating hahanapin is yung angle opposite the shorter side. Again, we're going to find again the angle opposite the shorter side, shorter. And to find the remaining angle, we're just going to subtract from 180 the two angles that we have. Then, how are we going to use your law of cosine given three sides? So, let's have an example. We have 9.47, 15.9, and 21.1. So, we're going to use the alternative formula. Okay, let's have our given first. So, we're going to use YC. Now, YC, so we're going to solve for C, which is the largest angle. How did we find that it is C? Now, we are going to look for the longest side. The longest side between 9.47, 15.9, and 21.1 is 21.1, and that is side C. So that means that the largest angle is angle C. Ulit natin, kasi pinag-compare natin si 9.47, 15.9, at 21.1. Ang pinakamahaba is 21.1 at yung katapat niya, angle C. So, ang una nating hahanapin is angle C. Okay. So, the formula that we're going to use is cosine C is equal to A squared plus B squared minus C squared all over 2AB. That's the one that I've shown a while ago. So, we're just going to input all our given. Then, we're going to use our calculator.
So, here's how we're going to get the value of the angle using given three sides. So, input first your given, which is 9.47 squared plus 15.9 squared, then minus, let's just use a parenthesis, 21, wala na parenthesis yun, so 21.1 squared, so equal sign, then divided by, so let's just use a parenthesis para ma-separate siya. There, so meron tayong 2 times 9.47 times 15.9. Let's use again a parenthesis. Then, equal sign ulit. Ngayon, hindi pa yun yung sagot. So, use your shift, then cosine, then equal sign. And that is already the answer. It is 109.9 degrees.
We're going to use our calculators to find the value and then shift cosine. Okay, again, second function or the inverse function since we are given with cosine C. Cosine C daw is negative 3.4109402. So that's the value of the angle. So we're going to get the inverse. and that is 109.9 degrees. Okay, so if we already have the longest angle, or the largest angle, we can compute now for the other angle. Okay, so we already have angle C. So we will use law of sine to find angle B. Okay, so let's show again our given. Okay, now why did we find first for angle B? So again, we're going to look here for the larger. Okay, the larger angle. So we're going to find first which among 9.47 and 15.9 is the longer side. So 15.9 is a longer side. So that means ang mas malaking angle is angle B. So using our law of sine, so sine a B over 15.9 is equal to sine 109.9 degrees all over 21.1. So may magkatapat po yun. Then, itong magkatapat. Then, cross multiply, we're going to have sine B is equal to 15.9 times sine 109.9 all over 21.1. Then, using our calculators, we're going to have the value. Then, second function or the inverse function of our sine, that is 45.1. Now, if we already have angle B and we already have your angle C, to find your angle A, we're just going to subtract it from 180 degrees. So that is 25 degrees. So again, how are we going to find the angles using law of cosine given three sides? First, use law of cosine, the alternative formula, to find the angle opposite the longest side. Take note of that, the longest side. Then, we use the law of sine to find either of the two remaining acute angles. So, we're going to find the two acute angles using law of sine, and then find the third angle by subtracting the measures of the angles found in steps 1 and 2. Or, you can use 3 law of cosine. Actually, you can use 3 law of cosine to find the missing angles using the alternative formula. That's another way that you can compute. Para hindi na kayo malito. You can use 3 law of cosines to find the missing angles. Okay? So, let's answer our engagement part. So, I'm just going to show the answer for numbers 1 and 4. So, you have two choices. So, you have two answers already. And then, you have to answer numbers 2 and 3. Just going to tell you what formula you are going to use. So, for number 2, you're given with angle C, 28 degrees, A, 42, and B, which is 57. Then, you're given with number 3, with the given sides, 3 sides. So, for number 2, you're just going to use yung first formula. So, you have to compute for side C. Then, for number 3, you have to find the missing angle. So, the longest side is side C, which is 17. So, you have to compute first for angle C. So, it's just like our first two examples. Okay? So, let's compute for letter E, number 1. So, engagement part number 1. So, we're given with two angles and one side. Two sides and one angle. So, let's compute first for your missing side, so which is side A. So, to compute for your side A, we're going to use A squared is equal to your B squared plus your C squared minus 2BC cosine A. Then, substitute our formula. So, 12 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 12 times 7 times your cosine 112. So, using your calculator, so you're going to get also the square root of this. So, get the answer, then square root. And the answer is, yes, the answer is 16. So, you get the round off of that part. So, if you already have your side A, we're going to find now the other angles, which is angle B or angle C. Now, we decide on what we are going to compute first. So, compute first for angle C, or angle B, because 7 is shorter than 12. So, kuhain natin yung shorter. So, we use your law of sine. We're going to have first, so this one is already 16. So, let's start with this 2. So, that is 16 over sine 112 is equal to, so ang unahin natin, yung shorter, which is 7 over your sine B. By cross multiplication, so the value of your sine B is equal to 7 times sine 112 all over 16. So using your calculator, so input this and then the inverse function since it's sine. So if you're going to get the inverse function, our answer is 23.93 degrees. Now, we came up now with the last one, which is your, so we already have your angle B. You have your side A. Now we're going to find your angle A, angle C. So to find your angle C, we just simply subtract it from 180. So minus 112 minus 23.93. In which the answer is 44.07 degrees. So that's how you're going to answer your number 1. So let's proceed with number 4. So in this, we have a given 3 sides. So let's input first our given. So this is angle A, B, and C. I'm sorry, that is R, S, and T. So let's write R, S, and T. So your side R is 29, your side S is 16, and then your side T is 24. So again, how are we going to find which of the following are we going to get, or is it angle R, S, or T? Hanapin po natin yung pinakamahabang side. Ang pinakamahabang side ay 29. So, ang katapat ni 29 ay yung R. So, ang natin kukuhanin is angle R. So, the formula is, so we're going to have cosine R. So, ganito gagawin po natin. So, the first two sides, yung hindi natin hahanapin, yung katapat ng hindi natin hinahanap. So, which is 16 and 24. So, doon natin sisimulan. So, 16 squared plus 24 squared minus yung hinahanap ko to, yung side ng hinahanap na angle, which is 29. So, 29 squared all over. Okay? 2 times yung dalawang side na nauna, which is 16 and 24. Okay. Kapag ginamit po natin yan, okay, input this on your calculator, then get the inverse function. So, shift cosine, answer, and what we're going to have is 90.67 degrees. Okay, so that is angle R. Now, we look now for your angle S or angle T. So, we look first for angle T. Sunod-sunod na natin yung measurement ng side. So, sunod na malaki side T. Or which is, so we're going to look for angle T using our law of sine now. So, ito munang magkatapat. Ito yung may given tayo. So, our given is R over sine R. So, that's R over sine R is equal to, we're going to look for T over sine T. Our R here is 29. Our sine, our angle R is 90.67. And our T is 24. And then we're going to look for angle T. By cross multiplication, we are going to have sine T is equal to 24 times sine 90.67 all over your 29. So that means our angle T, we're going to get again the inverse function. And what we're going to have is 55 point, let me erase that. Let's use a red pen. So that is 55.85 degrees. That's your angle T. Now, we're going to look now for angle S. So, to find your angle S, we're just going to subtract. So, your angle S is 180 minus your 90.67 minus your 55.85. So, our angle S is 33.48 degrees. So, that's how we're going to answer number 4. Let's proceed. Okay, let's have the assessment part. So I'm going to answer A number 1 and letter B number 2. So I'm going to, just going to show you how you're going to answer numbers 2 and 3 of A and number 1 of letter B. So sa ating pong number 2, so you're given with 3 sides. So the first angle that you can compute here is your angle P, since the longest side is side B. So to compute for your B, you're going to have your A. So A squared plus your C squared minus B squared, since you're going to compute for your angle B, all over 2AC. Then get your inverse function of cosine. Then after that, you can now have your law of sine, starting off with your B, your partners. So B and B. So that will be B over sine B is equal to, let's compute first for your angle C, since this 5 is longer than your 3. So you're going to have C over sine C. Then cross multiply, then again inverse function of sine. Dito inverse function of cosine. Dito naman inverse function of sine. Huwag kayo malito doon. Then if you already have your B and C to get your A, that's 180 minus your computed value of B and C. Okay. So for number 3 now, you have your two sides and one angle. So the first thing that you can compute here, let's have it here, your side C. So your C squared is equal to your A squared plus B squared minus your 2AB cosine C. You're given. Then you get the square root of this given. Now, if you already have your side C, you can use your law of sine to get your either of the angles, since they are just the same. So we're going to have C over your sine C is equal to your, so let's have A over sine A. So just cross multiply, and then you're going to have your answer. Now, whatever your A is, that is also your B, because they have the same value. Okay? So just cross multiply. Then for your letter B number 2, let's draw first. So you have your A, B, and C. So your side A is 8, your side B is 10, and your side C is 13. So since 13 is the longest side, we're going to compute first for angle C. So you're going to have cosine C is equal to your two sides, so A squared plus B squared minus C squared all over 2AB. Then inverse function of cosine. If you already have your angle C, so use your law of sine. So C over sine C is equal to, let's compute, which is longer, 10. So, B over sine B. To compute for your angle B. So cross multiply again, then inverse of sine. Then to find your last angle, which is A, so simply subtract it from 180, yung na-compute nating C at saka B. So that's how you're going to answer the rest. So let's answer now numbers 1 of A and number 2 of letter B. So let's start. So you're given with two sides and one angle. Let's start with finding your side C. So using our formula, so C squared is equal to your A squared plus our b squared minus 2ab cosine c. So this is our side angle C. So by putting all our given, so you're going to have 5 squared. So 5 squared plus your 8 squared minus 2 times 5 times 8, then times your cosine 125 degrees. Then get the square root of your answer. And what you're going to have, again, by computing and putting it by your calculator, kukuhanin po muna ang square root. So, ang final answer natin po rito ay um, 11.61. So, kung meron na kayong side C, which is 11.61, pwede na natin gamitin ating law of sine. So, that is C over sine C is equal to, anong una nating hanapin? Yung shorter. So, mas maiksi si 5. So, ang nating hanapin is si angle A. So, we're going to have, what's that, 5? Or we have A over sine A. So, if we are going to compute for that, we're going to have your value of your C, which is 11.61 all over sine 125 is equal to your A, which is 5 over sine A. By cross multiplication, ang value ng ating sine A ay equal sa 5 times sine 125 divided by 11.61. Then, by finding the inverse function, the value of A is equal to 20.66 degrees. And then finally, how are we going to find your angle B? Angle B can be computed by subtracting it from 180. So 180 minus 125 minus 20.66. So your angle B is equal to 34.34 degrees. So that's how you are going to answer A, number 1. So we are given with 3 sides. So let's draw first our given. So we're given with angle A, B, and C. So your A is 8, your B is 10, and your C is 13. Since the longest side is 13, at the angle opposite it is angle C, we're going to compute first for angle C. So the formula that we're going to use is cosine C is equal to our A squared plus your B squared minus C squared all over 2AB. So inputting our given, we're going to have A, which is 8, our B, which is 10, and our C, which is 13, all over 2 times 8 times 10. So the computed value of our cosine will be inversed. So, kuhanin natin yung inverse function pagka-compute nyan, or yung shift cosine answer, and then we're going to have the value which is 91.79 degrees. Okay, so that is for your angle C. Now, we have already angle 91.79. You can now use your law of sine. So, let's start with C and C. So, that is C over sine C is equal to, let's compute first for the next longer side, which is 10. So, we're going to have B over sine B. Inputting our given, we're going to have a C, which is 13 over our sine 91.79 is equal to our B, which is 10 all over sine B. By cross multiplication, our sine B is equal to 10 times your sine 91.79 all over 13. Again, get the inverse function. Kanina, inverse cosine. Ngayon naman ay inverse sine. And the value that we can have for B is 50.25 degrees. Then finally, para makuha natin ang ating angle A, i-subtract it from 180. So 180 minus your C and B, which is 91.79 and 50.25. So your angle A is equal to 37.96 degrees. So that's how you're going to answer letter B number 2. So that's all for this week for our law of cosine. So I hope you do understand on how you're going to answer your missing angles and missing sides of your oblique triangles using our law of cosine. So that's all for this week. Thank you and God bless. See you again next week.